Okay, I'm not sure if it was recorded, but yeah, we are for a moment on a different channel, so we will be switching in just a moment to you. If you will see some kind of a stutter in the VOD, it is how it is. We'll figure it out, but for now, still, we are on the ban phase. I am quite interested to see, actually, I'm a little bit surprised, and know how about you, Felicia, about the DT3 ban from, I believe, Saudi Arabia, right? Because I feel like they actually had a lot of potential to break a pattern here.
I honestly think it is an alright ban, at least considering that other bans and what Finland has generally picked into. At least in the matchup against Austria, they were very strong on these tapping sort of maps, whereas Saudi Arabia did end up banning the Nomad 2 and the DT2 in their matches against Belgium and Italy. So it does make sense that they do end up banning this, and Finland banning Nomad 3 and Hidden 2 also makes a lot of sense, especially looking at Saudi Arabia's roster, not wanting to opt into the old map, nor the hidden reading map. So, very understandable ban, but it is now time for Finland's final ban now. Oh wait, no, but never mind, but those other two bans from Finland, never mind, sorry. But yeah, Saudi Arabia banning Fremont 3 as well, so not wanting to opt into any sort of tapping, which makes perfect sense for this roster.
Yeah, I mean, this is how it is, and honestly, I'm just happy to see that all the customs that we have in this round are pretty much open for the bigs in this match. So hopefully we might see some great stuff happening, but first of all, we are going to be getting into the consistency territory right off the bat. Nomad 1 is on the table, and well, honestly, the most might be one of the more interesting Nomad 1 that we have seen, at least so far in the 4WC.
Yeah, it is not really your general Nomad 1. It's a bit more different. I guess it's just not a general Nomad 1 that you would normally see in these tournaments. So, a bit of an interesting pick to see it coming out first, and considering it is completely different to any sort of Nomad 1 that we have seen so far, it's not really something you can look into any sort of results to really gauge any sort of level 1. So it'll be interesting to see how both of these teams do end up faring up on this very different Nomad 1. It isn't really the comfortable aim you'd expect. It's, I'd say, a lot more awkward than... It's more like a general hidden 1, but of course without the hidden.
If I'm not mistaken, there is also some slight bursts scattered throughout the map, but that is just details, right? I'm just honestly happy that we are going to be seeing a bit more of an active type of song on the Nomad 1, right? That's not really something that is happening too much in the tournaments lately, right? You kind of have to just test also your focus, I guess, on the general ones, but this time around it will be at the very least a joy to watch this Nomad 1, and especially as we are going to be seeing people getting ready bit by bit. I'm not completely sure what's still happening, but I'm just honestly quite interested to see. Do you have any favorites, right? Who do you think will be completely destroying this map across those teams, Felicia?
It's honestly something that is very hard to gauge, given it is different from the normal ones we have seen in this tournament so far. But it was picked by Finland, and Finland do tend to fare up better on Nomad 1 maps overall, at least. Just generally looking at the rosters and also taking past tournaments into account. So maybe it could be a little bit favored to the side of Finland, but again, I feel it's going to be a very close map overall.
I mean, yeah, the general aim, at least in my opinion, right? Finland just has a bit of a better grasp, right, on the overall skill set. They are able to just throw out a bit of a tougher punch, right, when it comes to just pure aiming ability. But again, it is a bit of a unconventional, slightly unconventional at the very least type of map, right? We will be seeing some possible interesting breaks, especially if I'm not mistaken in the first third, right, of this map. There is a bit of a deep spike where you have to get through some of those slightly differently placed patterns, but for now it is something to remember for the future, as we are going to be finally starting this map bit by bit, the first map of this bout, and well, the people are ready. The match is actually starting after all.
Yeah. Finland being, I believe, the top scorer on the Nomad 1 in the group stage, getting a almost 3.6 million team score on this story end, having had 2 FCs and 2 800Ks. So they look to be in a pretty good position to take this map. However, as it is mentioned, they are not necessarily the exact same style of maps. But getting into the first map of this incredible matchup of Finland up against Saudi Arabia, will we see any early breaks coming in? We see Eyes Never Open being the first one to break for the side of Saudi Arabia. However, this is quite a long map, so these early breaks shouldn't really play too much of a part. The most important part is that he did hold on to his accuracy very, very well.
Yeah, and honestly, even as we are going to be seeing another break coming in from Saudi Arabia in the face of TV, I feel like somehow the accuracy department is pretty nicely on the whole side of Saudi Arabia, right? There is some unfortunate mistakes, at least in the early games at the start of this map from Turkish and MQ, right? That were just dropping a little bit too much accuracy, but for now, as the combo is still being held right at the gate, they are able to just get that advantage going bit by bit, already getting towards the 60k mark, especially with more and more misses coming in from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia not really faring too well, at least in the early stages of this map, though Turkish did find a break to alias trade one of those breaks on the side of Saudi Arabia. However, Eyes Never Open is recovering very, very well, so pretty much on an FC there. Just having that very, very unfortunate early break, but not finding any more difficulties other than that. Turkish finding another break, and Nemku finds another break, and Evad also trades! So it is only one FC on the side of Finland now, and Saudi Arabia really has a great opportunity to just run away with this, build some score lead. As we finalize the first third of the map, Eyes Never Open does find a break though, so it goes back to only being 2 FCs on the side of Saudi Arabia, and no supporting combo now, whereas Finland is starting to recover a little bit on the side of Nemku and Evert. However, there is still a lot of work to be done for the side of Finland, as we get into a little bit of a section where they can build a bit of combo, only a couple of streams, and some, I guess, easier patterns if anything. Of course, definitely still very missable, but so far it is still looking very strong for the side of Saudi Arabia. The Turkish is finding another break, which does put a halt to Finland's recovery.
Yeah, the Chinese was not doing so many favors, but the mains coming in from Komi Red will be doing exactly that. The score difference is going actually slightly back towards the Finland side, especially as it seems like they are not able to hold it towards any combo in this a bit more of a speedy section. The full aim is just killing people left and right. Nemkil is going to be down next, but there is still two, even more, so 3 players still holding some kind of combo and getting more and more score for both the teams. Rukilia facing off against Stewart and Savilji, just able to get that score lead back little by little towards the team Finland, but they need to hold for just a bit more because there is still a last quarter going on. The possibility is here, but any breaks, any mistakes will be fatal.
They really will be fatal. As you see, the recovery combos on Saudi Arabia are starting to build up very, very nicely, whereas Turkish is finding some more consistent breaks, which is really putting a halt to Finland's progressions. However, it is all down to the FC on Savage and the high combo on Eva for Finland to be able to reel this back in. And the score lead has kind of stabilized, though Komi Red does find a break, which will actually help Finland massively. As you can see, the score lead is already decreasing fairly quickly down to 60,000, and now Eyes Never Open, breaking that recovery combo. Despite that FC holding from Mercuria and that recovery from DV, there is so many unmatched recovery combos on the side of Finland. Will they be able to bring this back? We're getting into the very final few seconds of the map. Only 20,000 score. Eva finds a break on that recovery combo, and the score lead starts shifting slowly towards the side of Saudi Arabia. I think Saudi Arabia might be finding a break point, getting to the very final few seconds of the map, and by 20,000 points, Saudi Arabia steal it away at the end. Just about winning it out. What a point. What a first break point, actually.
That is absolutely crazy, seeing 2 FCs, one from Finland, one from Saudi Arabia, and a difference in only 22,000 points in a 4v4 tournament. That is, I don't know, that's the start of the match if I have ever seen one. Actually incredible performances and attempts from both the teams, but unfortunately for Finland, they were not just consistent enough on their comfort pick, on their opener, and that is why Saudi Arabia is just going to be proving that they are still in the game, still are able to show up when it is needed, getting the first point on board, and honestly getting quite a nice situation here. I feel like even after the immediate pick, it seems into the only one of the 2 customs, I believe, from this stage, Nomad 4, they are just going to be expanding their lead towards the 2 against 0 from Finland.
Slight mistake on the picks, I believe, because that first pick was actually a pick from Saudi Arabia, not by Finland. But this number 4 is now a pick for Saudi Arabia, so not a breakpoint for Saudi Arabia straight away, so apologies for getting that one incorrect. Yeah, the pick being labeled incorrectly there on stream, it should be fixed fairly soon. And yeah, the number 4 pick coming in from the side of Finland does make quite a bit of sense, but you do also have a player like 3WC2026 on the side of Saudi Arabia, who is so notorious on these sorts of maps for being an absolute powerhouse on them. So we will see how it does fare up for a player like 3WC2026 and for the entirety of the Saudi Arabia roster, who do also have quite a few other capable tech players. However, overall, I think this is a pretty excellent pick from the side of Finland, considering they did also see 12 in the qualifiers on this map, whereas Saudi Arabia seeded 21st, so pretty good for the side of Finland overall on this number 4.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting to see, especially after we got some additional context of the fact that Saudi Arabia was one that picked number 1, right? They were able to get the point again by the skin of the teeth, but still an immediate answer on number 4 will now, and again with some context, will be showing that they are still pretty much unfazed, right? This is number 1. They kind of expected somehow, I guess, to lose it, but well, again, one of the 2 customs of this pool, number 4 interpretation system, is going to be still quite a nice challenge for both the teams, right? We have seen some feedback. People are saying that it is quite, I guess, special map, right? Let's put it that way. And honestly, I'm not completely sure if we're even going to be seeing any FCs as the opposite of the number 1.
It is a very difficult map, honestly. It's, from what I did see the players say, it is maybe a stage too early, which is pretty fair, but it is one of those custom maps, and it is a really fun map overall to play. The question that you did make is if we will see any FCs. I personally don't think so, but I think we might see a couple of high-scoring players in this lobby, especially 3WC2026 coming in for the side of Saudi Arabia. And you also have 4WC2026 on the side of Finland, Eva and MQ. Like, those are some players you definitely want to keep your eyes out for on this number 4. But we will be getting into the second map of the matchup now. And will Saudi Arabia be able to fare up on this number 4 pick by Finland, or will Finland be able to seal it away like Saudi Arabia did on the number 1?
It is time to find out, especially as we are getting towards the intro and the start of this map little by little. Again, just an enjoyable song, enjoyable experience to get through. And well, let's hope that it will not be getting any wrong ideas for the players. We are not going to be seeing any early breaks at the start of the actual kind of difficult-ish patterns, and that is nice to see, but the accuracy lead will still be going, at least into the intro, towards the Team Saudi Arabia. The sliders are expanding, getting faster and faster, velocities increasing, but we are only going to be seeing the first break now from 4WC2026, getting at least an even bigger lead towards the Team Saudi Arabia at the start.
Yeah, it is a very slight lead for the side of Saudi Arabia because of that break of 4WC2026, but then 2 does find a break, but it is trailed by Isan for Ripon, but it is still 3 FCs up against 2 for the side of Saudi Arabia. Overall pairing up a little bit better in the early stages of this map, though we already 1/3 of the way through. The accuracy lead is also firmly in the favor of Saudi Arabia with those EVA constant breaks and 100 drops. Like Komi Red having, I believe, some technical difficulties as his cursor just froze in the middle of the screen. 4WC2026 and Lay Stadium both find a break, and that is it for Finland. No more combos left on their side. And it's just shared for the side of Saudi Arabia, just with a chance to run away with this 4 lead and take this all the way home for their country.
Yeah, he's kind of showing off right now, still holding an FC halfway through. He's actually pretty nice accuracy to almost 99% to his name, and it's just counting bit by bit as the opposite team is just not able to find any footing to stand on. MQ finding another break right before the slow section will be putting the advantage even stronger towards the team of Saudi Arabia, but of course still 200, almost 250k score difference is not a big one, but you cannot allow yourself to find even more mistakes in the slow section. Only 2 kind of big combos left on the side of Finland, but if there is going to be any kind of a destruction, any kind of a disaster for Team Saudi Arabia, it is still possible, but they will need to pray for it to happen.
And I think with that break from MQ, I think it just fully seals the deal for the side of Saudi Arabia. there is no sort of avenue for Finland to make a comeback, and it's just all eyes on shit now. As I mentioned that name, they find a break. It's the classic commentators class. 3W also finding a break, but Saudi Arabia just way too far in the lead for Finland to even be able to do anything about this. And Saudi Arabia being able to steal the first breakpoint away from Finland. And it is a 2-0 lead, but will they be able... No, they have in fact already converted it, but the most important thing is whether they can get a third point on the board early, or will Finland be able to have a comeback ready and get the first breakpoint under their belt.
Yeah, the first break point is quite important, and honestly, the general performance of Saudi Arabia is kind of just insane, it seems like today, right? Because if we remember correctly, Call Me Red also had quite a nice score, and if I'm not mistaken, with the exception of the technical difficulties that we have seen, I believe he was still FC in the whole map. But yeah, still, no matter how unfortunate it is, it was still enough. And with that, I'm kind of surprised. I'm not sure what Finland should be going for in the future against Team Saudi Arabia. Maybe it is time to bring out some of those hard rocks, at least when it is going to be their time to pick. But for now, another pick, as you mentioned, from Saudi Arabia. And I feel like we might see something close of HD1 this time around.
I think Hidden 1 could be a fairly solid pick for the side of Saudi Arabia, being, I'd say, the superior Hidden roster, but then at that point, considering you did win this number 4, maybe opt into the most similar map to it in the Hidden pool, which would be that Hidden 3, which I think would also be a very, very solid pick for the side of Saudi Arabia. Finland does fare up quite well on Hidden, but I don't know if they have the full depth that Saudi Arabia does have in general on that Hidden. But they did lose Hidden 3 up against Italy, so it could potentially be a little bit of a risky pick overall. But we will see. There are also other maps. There's still the free mod pool left for the side of Saudi Arabia. Something like free mod 1 might also play fairly well into their hands. Free mod 2 is another thing that they do actually opt for going for, which is a CS5 AR8 map. And since we did see that ban on Hidden 2 by the side of Finland, I don't think it is necessarily a bad pick from Saudi Arabia, opting for the low Hidden player and the high CS hard rock player. Just being very confident on the map, I think it's a very fair pick, and I'm kind of interested to see if we'll see any sort of easy coming into this map.
That is a valid question, but yeah, I'm just a bit surprised of the Fremont 2 pick, because after the Nova 1 that we have seen as the first one as an opener, I thought that maybe they have some troubles with Fremont 2. Maybe there was a reason why it was not the start for them, but I guess not. I guess they just wanted to get a little bit of their hands a bit warmer, right? To find kind of a footing with the Nomad 1 and then get straight into the execution of the all AR of the Fremont 2. But yeah, I'm just a bit... Again, the good question, one of the two good questions is that, first of all, are we going to be seeing any easies, be it from the side of Saudi Arabia or from Finland, right? It is kind of a map that is hard to get through, even with this no mod, so you might be getting a bit of too much trouble, inviting a bit of too much trouble, but second of all, I'm not completely sure what we're going to see as hard rock performances, right? Because Finland, while they do have some people to cover that skill set quite nicely, I'm not completely confident for Saudi Arabia. I feel like they have a bit of a trouble, and that is why free mods is always a bit more risky for them.
I think they should have at least one very solid hard rock player for this, and I think maybe even two, considering it's CS 6.5. It is high as CS, but I think we might see a hidden hard rock coming out from Saudi Arabia here, just for the comfort in general. And I think we might see the same thing coming in from Finland, a hidden hard rock as well. I don't think we'll see either team overmodding though. I think it is pretty safe to say we'll see one no mod on each team at the absolute bare minimum. But the question really comes up to the other mods. Will we see that easy, or will we see only one hidden? And if there is one player that might play hidden on the side of Finland, it will probably be, I guess, Savager. And then for the side of Saudi Arabia, it's a bit more difficult to call who might be the hidden player.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a question to stumble upon, but I guess we will be seeing it in just a few moments, right? Because I'm pretty sure the players are going to be reading up in just a moment, and the map will be starting exactly that. And we are going to be seeing Easys actually on the board. Shehard, I believe, even going as far as getting easy hidden for him and facing off against Jujip from the side of Finland on just pure is not a great start for Shehard actually, just a lot of misses right at the start. Oh, it was a bunch, no mind.
Yeah, just a couple of bunch of breaks at the start of the side of shot, but overall, it is very nice to see Easy still coming in and Namq taking that classic hard rock alongside DME, and for the side of Saudi Arabia, we see Osishal and Rikuria taking those hard rocks. I love to see the Easy hidden, and I'm interested to see how it will be for the side of Shad, but early on, both teams not finding any sort of difficulties as the map just really begins to, just we have a little bit of a slow section, a bit of a build up, but Shot is the first player to find a break on that easy hidden. Remember that there is a 2x multiplier on the easy, so NSS is worth 1 million points, and on the easy hidden it's worth 1.06 million. It's as if you were just playing no mod or hidden. But we see a couple more breaks coming in, Rikuria breaking for Saudi Arabia and Finland breaking as we get into, I guess, a little bit more of a more tricky section.
Yeah, and it seems like at least for now there's not going to be a lot of trouble. Unfortunately, the only two people going down will be Shehard and Requiria. After all, we will be traded now down with Sadvici, but also Shao'ar is not going to be able to just run away with that combo before this whole section that we are going to that we are seeing at the moment. It feels like the lead for Finland is just going to be increasing bit by bit. They just have more accuracy, more combo, unfortunately for the team Saudi Arabia, and at the very least at this point of time at this whole section we are not going to be predicting any breaks, at least no easy ones, right? Especially I have to give a shout out, Namq still going insanely strong, I believe, at seeing the map so far with harder.
Yep, still holding onto that FC, which is very, very impressive on this hard rock. It is, I'd say, honestly, quite a bit harder than the no mod. Even if you're comfortable in AR10, the patterns have become significantly harder. So there are some trades coming in now. Jujep and Shared both trading, and also Charlotte finding another break on that hard rock, which puts the recovery combos a bit more towards the side of Finland and allows them to increase their score lead very, very slightly, despite the accuracies being dead even. Charlotte finding a couple more breaks, which really isn't looking good, which makes it not look so good for the side of Saudi Arabia. The score leads at 120,000, and we have about a third of the map left. Getting into a little bit of flow aim as we get into the next PI time. And Rikuria does find another break, so there's absolutely no recovery on the side of Saudi Arabia, though Jujep does find a break on that recovery combo. And just how you're holding on to that recovery. It's a completely unanswered 500 combo on the no mod. And Namq still holding on so strong at that hard rock, falling down in the accuracy department, but the combo is what is really carrying Finland through this section.
Yes, Saudi Arabia really needs to see a break coming in from Namq, but it is just not happening. Call me red, no matter how incredible his performance would have been, it is not enough. Namq finally finding a break on the sliders, actually, maybe even a slider break, but there is enough support from Sadvici. No mind that the auto chain misses, auto accuracy dropped, the score is going down. Call me red is still on an FC. He might just be enough to overturn, but unfortunately it seems like the chances are just unlikely. His combo, his at C so far, it seems like there's just not going to be enough nodes on the side, right? Just not going to be enough nodes to get through, and with the miss at the end, that is not going to be the case for Saudi Arabia. As a first breakpoint for Finland and a second, I believe, in this match. Insane performances, and congrats for actually getting that with an insane, again, performance from Namq. Cannot praise him enough.
That 680,000 score on Hard Rock is really insane, actually. That's such a strong score. Pumi read at 920,000, pretty much FC in the entire map, but unfortunately just not able to fully get enough score for that team. And it is the second breakpoint in this matchup. It is back-to-back breakpoints, and it goes back to Finland for that opportunity to try and consolidate this breakpoint and get it back on even terms. But they will need to win this next pick, so what can they really opt for here? We can maybe look at the side of Noma 2 or DT2, try and opt into something a little bit more tapping heavy, but no, they opt for Hard Rock 2 after an incredible Nemkyu performance on the Hard Rock, and overall just being, I'd say, the slightly stronger Hard Rock roster. I think it is a very, very good pick from the side of Finland here.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense, right? The only question is why it did not appear on our radar earlier, right? Because Finland is just great on those hard rocks, right? They are able to get some of those performances, even admittedly when we have seen from Ninkyo on the Fremont 2, right? So only almost FC on the hard rocks, and he will be liking this map a lot, right? Because again, it is very similar. As I released at the CS department, 6.5, if I'm not mistaken, is still going to be a big challenge for anyone. But the overall patterns are going to be, I believe, a little bit more. I cannot really say calm, right? Because the Fremont 2 is also was decently understandable, right? But the overall flow of the map will be a bit more stable, right? We are not going to be seeing a lot of just cut angles, if I'm not mistaken. It will be a bit more of a consistent threat, but well, it is still going to be a challenge for anyone that is going to be playing this one.
Yep, it is a calmer map compared to what we did just see. It is a very nice song, actually. I really do enjoy listening to it. So I'm really excited to see this played.
Awesome.
And it is just your, I'd say, a bit more run-of-the-mill CS 6.5 map. I like to see these sort of maps getting pulled in tournaments. And it is a very, very long though. 3 minutes and 50 seconds of drain. I think it might be a little less of drain time. I think it's 3.5 minutes of drain time, but 3 minutes 50 seconds of song time. So it is a map that is a little bit on the longer side, and we did see Saudi Arabia faring a little bit better on the consistency, for example, on that normal one. So we'll see how this does pan out, and I think we do have the rosters pretty much finalized for both of these teams, so we should be kicking off into the map very, very shortly.
Well, let's see how they are going to be doing. At the very least, we can already see what are the actual players that we're going to be seeing, right, from both sides. Call Me Red, 3BDO making an appearance again, I believe, after the second map of this bout. Iceland will open, and also Shalach all together are going to be playing for Saudi Arabia, while Savigi, Evert, Nemkyu, and Yimi are going to be facing off against them from the side of Finland, the great one. But for now, again, the map is starting finally, and it is time to actually get some performance inbound, because I believe it is going to be quite an important point to collect for any of the teams.
Interesting to see who does fare up a little bit better on this match, on this map in general. And early doors, we do already see, I guess, it's like this comfort break from both Eva and Gimme. But look at how spaced these jumps are. They are very hard to combo in general, and you do have a little bit of flow in between these jumps. So we will see if any players do find significant difficulties on the spacing, because it's a map that you really need to be in, I guess, a flow state to be able to combo very well and very consistently. But so far, it is looking fairly good for both of these teams, only having, of course, this very early breaks, which was just, I guess, settling into a CS 6.5 very space jumps map.
But at least for now, it seems like there is not going to be a lot of troubles for any of the players. As I'm saying that, Yimi and also Schwach will be finding first mistakes of this map, followed closely behind by 3BDO and Evert actually, but we are still in an equilibrium, slightly increasing towards the side of Saudi Arabia, simply because their accuracy, as I believe the combos are quite consistent, especially with 3BDO finding miss after miss, as that is not going to be the case to take an advantage on for Team Saudi Arabia. But as we are finishing with the first third of this map, we can see that we are finally on the break. People are seeing what the situation is, who is in the lead, who is going to be increasing their score faster, and right now it seems like it's just a bit of a mental game. Oh my god, 5 misses coming in, 3 from Finland and 2 from Saudi Arabia. There's only one holding the Sadvilji, facing off against Komiret, and a great recovery, at least for now, from 3BDO, and that is just insane to see.
Yeah, the Flame really killing most of the combos in the lobby. 3BDO finding a break just before the break. And it is, so far, a little bit of an early lead. Well, not early lead, but halfway point lead for the side of Finland. A very small one at that, only 22,000 points. with the combos being as even as they are, this is something that can go back and forth at any given moment. It is all down to these two FCs in the lobby to hold it together for their teams. If either of them goes down, it will spell absolute tragedy for their teams. But Call Me Red Soldier Brick on the exact same note! But look at Finland's supporting combos. They are marginally higher. You have Nemq's combo being matched by Osashala, but then there's Yimmy, who has a completely unmatched recovery combo. And this will really help Finland pull up a very small lead. Maybe increase to about 70 to 80,000 points by the end of the slow section, depending on which team drops more accuracy.
Yeah, the only trouble right now is that in this slow section, it is really easy to find a break simply by your hand shaking. Thankfully, the break was quite a while ago. Finland and both Saudi Arabia are not really know what has happened after the last button. A big breakdown, a crash even, but it is still going to be getting an advantage towards the side of Finland if they're going to be able to just hold on for a while longer. 100k score difference is already a vocal to climb a several second hole, but it is going to be breaking down. Nemki and Yimki just finding breaks out of nowhere, while Tribidu and Noshala are doing all they can to bring it down back towards the team of Saudi Arabia, and that is enough. What? Shalak finding another break, 20k score difference, and it is going down. Tribidu is going to be making it. Little by little, is it a spin to win? Is there enough time?
There are 10,000 points in it, but Finland just about eking out the win on this Hard Rock 2 by very, very little. Those combos at the end by Saudi Arabia, Kulumi Red already being the pillar to stand strong for Saudi Arabia, but unfortunately just not enough at the end, and Finland steal it away, and it is a consolidated breakpoint, and that was so vital for the side of Finland to tie up the match. And despite it being by a very small margin, we saw a very similar margin on the side of Nomad 1. We saw it being won by 20,000 points. We see this not being won by 11,000 points. So what's next? We see in the map being won by 2,000 points. We will see. This match is looking so close so far. So I'm really excited to see what other maps have to bring for us. But it is back to Saudi Arabia to try and get another point on the board. And at this point, you really want to look at maybe the 3mod 4, maybe that hidden 3. Try and get one of those maps on the board for your team.
Wow, yeah, it was way too close, and what is more important is that it is not a comfort skill set at all for Finland as it seems. They did not have a full-on advantage on this type of hard rock stuff, and Saudi Arabia is still a threat on pretty much any skill set that we have seen so far. If I would have been a Team Finland, I would be a little bit lost, because you have to play, you have to get formal points, but you need to fight the maps to get those points on, and as we are going to be seeing a big coming from Team Saudi Arabia, they are not going to be seeing a lot of openings, because there is still, the path is clear, there is still 2 hidden on the board for Team Saudi Arabia that are going to be, at least on the paper, in the books, a bit more advantageous towards their team, and it will not be giving a lot of information, unfortunately, for Team Finland.
But we do see the hidden one coming out from the side of Saudi Arabia, which I think really does make a lot of sense. I think either of these hidden maps are great picks for Saudi Arabia, just overall being the, I guess, slightly better hidden roster. Though again, Finland is definitely a team who can compete, especially on something like this hidden one. It's not something that they will completely fall apart on. It's AR 9.3, so maybe they might find a little bit of discomfort at this AR, but it is not low AR by any means, so they should, I think, overall still be fine. Especially on the type of map it is. It's not something that is too gimmicky, if at all, so overall they should fare out fine.
Yeah, I mean, it is a hidden one, right, of this role. I believe a lot of people just know this map, use it because it has, if I'm not mistaken, again, appeared in the previous, in other tournaments, right? And overall, at the very least, the song seems quite, just quite similar, right? Quite recognizable, at least for the modern tournament players. So right now it is a bit of a question if they will be able to perform again on the spot, right? And so far, Saudi Arabia was just a little bit more consistent when it came to just pure ability to get through the map, get through the consistent challenges, right? And came out on top after those, but Finland is still on the. No matter how close the match have been so far, right? We are still at 2-2 on the score sheets, right? And that is something that cannot be just overthrown one way or another. We are still a bit in a nervous spot, still pretty much getting towards that peak, right? Big tension, because there is nothing that can break it, and unless we are going to be seeing some incredible scores on some of those maps, for example, hidden one.
I think we will see a very team performance on the side of Saudi Arabia. I don't think we'll see any sort of solo carrying. I mean, maybe we can see someone like Fumi Red maybe pulling a little bit farther ahead than their other teammates. But again, I think this entire Saudi Arabia roster is just so strong on hidden that I think they will just fare up very well in general. I think it will be a similar story for the side of Finland. I don't think there'll be any sort of solo carrying going on. Like maybe Evot, if anyone, might pull out a little bit further ahead. But again, it is something that can be very coin flip in terms of who will actually top score this map. But both rosters are very competent on this map, to say the least. They're very confident, if anything. So we will see who will come out on top on this hidden one.
And as the map starts, you can already see that it seems like it's not going to be an FC run for Ivar getting a first, I believe, slider break of this map. And also in a little bit of accuracy, thankfully for Finland, it is going to be traded after all by Osushala, but it is still a slight advantage going towards the Finland until what is going on. We are still going to be seeing a lot of breaks, right? At the pretty much the first sixth of this map, right? Not a great showing, not a great omen, I would say, right? But still, the map is a big one. There is a lot of space to get some of those recoveries and combo and score back towards the side, especially as we are going to be seeing that they still have a lead, I believe, pretty much because of the accuracy.
And the accuracy is really helping here, but also the fact that the common difference isn't massive, although however that will change a bit since MP did find another break on that recovery combo. So that 200 recovery combo on the side of Osushala goes completely unanswered, and as I say, Osushala does find a break. So that is now a combo that is no longer standing, and Finland do have the very slight combo lead by maybe about 30 combos, so it is very negligible, but it might play a slight part in this. And Saudi Arabia, I believe, now do start taking the score lead a little bit farther, I think just based off of a very slight accuracy difference, as it is sitting at 60,000 points and only increasing. And we see Lastiadian finding a break alongside Stavilju. So it is only one FC standing on the side of Finland. And look at the score lead starting to balloon in the favor of Saudi Arabia, already sitting at 130,000. It increased so quickly just based off of the fact that there are 3 FCs on Saudi Arabia. They're looking to put up a very strong showing on this hidden one.
Not just and combo showing, right? The accuracies are also in a great spot on those FCs, and they are going to be taking a full advantage of it, especially as we are going to be seeing more and more misses coming in from the side of Finland. The only one that is recovering and getting at least some kind of a threat to Saudi Arabian nation is Evert. He's the only one that after the first, I guess, nerve break at the very start of this map, he was able to pretty much see the rest, and he is going for it absolutely. The only one that actually brings at least some kind of a possibility of a comeback for Team Finland, but with a lot of more misses that is not going to be, it is pretty much not looking like that is going to be the case. Shehard finally going down, leaving Saudi Arabia only with 2 FCs on board, but it is still a uphill battle for Team Finland.
It is very much an uphill battle, as you did mention, and the score lead is already, I think, way too large for Finland to even have a chance at looking into this map. 500,000 points is still a double FC being held by 3WC2026 and Fumi Red, just absolutely going off on this map, not showing any signs of stopping anytime soon. And will they be able to close out these FCs? That is the most important question, as we do see Lastiadian finding a couple more breaks. And Saudi Arabia just really showing that they are a powerhouse on this hidden pool, showing that they are not messing around. And I think we might see some FCs being closed out here, getting to the very final seconds of the map. Call Me Red finding a break right at the end, but effectively FC in 3, but they're finding a miss on the third to last note. That is so unfortunate, but still with an absolute incredible team score here by Saudi Arabia, which is something that I did mention. You wouldn't really have a single player pulling out very far ahead from anyone else. Of course, you do have those two very high scores on 3 and Call Me Red, but you have Shard with a very solid supporting score, and so does also Shala. So, a third point on the board for the side of Saudi Arabia, but it is now time for Finland to pick into another map to try and get on the board again. And I think here we just go for DT2, which is exactly what they do go for. It is the tapping focus map, and it is something that Finland should have I'd say a pretty clear advantage on, although I'd be interested to see if Saudi Arabia can throw up any sort of surprise on this.
Okay, it is time to finally press the gas pedal to the floor and show up on this 230 BPM, pretty much just kind of a stamina-based DT2, right? Of course, it has a lot of general slight, I guess, finger draw patterns, right? Where you have to kind of cut through those bursts, or at least something that appears like bursts, right? But it is continuous just tapping challenge, but still. It's going to be a fun map to see. Don't we all love some initial D in our pools? For sure, at least I would say so. And Finland is going to be agreeing with me as they are going to be picking again. I forgot to mention the second custom of the spool, and I believe the last one if we are going to be excluding the tiebreaker. But still, quite an incredible thing to see, right? I love to see that all the customs have been played. Again, with the exception of tiebreaker, but this is how it is. And I'm just kind of, again, as you mentioned, right, I feel like Finland should be having quite a lot of advantage, right, one way or another on this type of peak. They should be able to perform quite nicely, but I feel like there is always some threat lingering in the air. Saudi Arabia is just some kind of a powerhouse, it is some kind of a dark horse even, right, that is able to sometimes just pop off when you are least expecting it. And well, I'm just hoping that will be the case, because it will be absolute beauty to see.
It is, and I'm honestly really interested, as you did mention, to see if Saudi Arabia can pop off on this map. Because, again, I guess it is a little bit more of a comfortable map, with it being lower than something like the DT3. The DT3 is 10.3, but this one is AR10. It's also way more comfortable BPM, a lot more players should be comfortable on 231 BPM tapping. The streams never get really too long, so even players who aren't too comfortable in stamina should be able to fare out fairly well, I guess, on this map. You saw players like UC2 pulling off an actual zero miss run in their matchup earlier when they were playing for the Netherlands. So it's a map that you can honestly see non-tapping players come in for and still get an okay score. Obviously not faring too well in accuracy, but doing well in the combo. But getting off into this map, we see an extremely early break coming in from the side of Divi, but it is something that shouldn't matter much, if at all.
Well, at least for now, they're still going to be giving at least a slight edge, right, towards the side of Finland. Again, just a slight one, only 5,000 points, just purely because of the accuracies. But for now, it is going to be facing off right at the just right on the right of the gate. They are going to be jumping into some of the action. No players are going to be finding a lot of breaks. No accuracies are going to be dropping at least too much. NMQ sitting at around 96%, but it is still within a manageable limit for the Finland, as they are still going to be only increasing the leads that they have towards the 20k EM and beyond, as we are already through the first quarter, and all the players are still holding the FC first. Finally, means the first breaks are coming in from Juniper and Ice Number open, but three players are still facing off against each other from both of the sides, and it is going to be absolute shredfest, as we are going to be seeing how the lighter mixes are going to be just mattering so much.
Yeah, you see Divi finding a break there, whereas Finland doesn't find any further breaks to trade Divi, so there is now a full combo that is going completely unanswered on the side of Finland. However, Joseph does find a break on that recovery combo, which will help Saudi Arabia a little bit and will make it so the score lead doesn't increase as fast as it could. But getting into the next PI section, will we see any further breaks? Look at everyone just looking so comfortable with this map, but Equidimensional finds that third break for the side of Saudi Arabia. And now it is only one FC up against the 3 on Finland. However, the recovery combos on Finland are looking very, very strong. They've already sitting at 500 combo, whereas Eyes Never Open is already sitting at 700. So definitely, Saudi Arabia might be down, but they are definitely not out. Davey does find a break on that 600 combo, which might start to cost them pretty dearly at this point. But just look at the accuracy on the side of Finland. They are looking so comfortable in this map, and they don't want to give up this point by any means necessary. So, will they be able to close out this quick as we get into the final quarter of the map?
Yeah, even after the last miss coming in from also Shalah and the incredible recovery from Ice Never Open, we are still going to be just seeing incredible performance. Still 3 FCs from the side of Finland, no trouble from the side, just getting through and through, increasing the score lead already at 600k points and only going further beyond as they are just proving again and again that they are one of the better teams in this tournament. Or when it comes to tapping, unfortunately Turkish, I believe the best accuracy from those FCs will be going down, fall closely behind, but Nemq, it is not going to be a fairy tale story, but it is still going to be enough to take another point against Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Finland just with a very strong team performance overall. Just look at everyone just being very comfortable on this map. And honestly, same for Saudi Arabia. Both teams just having a very solid team performance. However, Finland just having the slightly higher scores, having held those 3 FCs for a pretty significant time. I think maybe up until the 2/3 mark of the map, they were still holding 3 FCs, which really helped them carry the score through. Unfortunately, no FCs being closed out, but 2 very high scores by Nemq and Tarkis. And also on the side of Saudi Arabia, we have a double 700k on Osishala and Hyperdimensional. But Finland taking a point back, and it is 3-3, all tied up still. But it is back to Saudi Arabia to get back on the board and try and get a 4th point. And they go immediately for that hidden 3 we were speaking about earlier.
Well, now at the very least, Finland was able to find these something that they are fully better on, at least for now, than Saudi Arabia, right? That is nice, right? It is just good to find something that is going to be giving an advantage pretty confidently, right? But unfortunately for them, there is some maps left like that for Team Saudi Arabia, and Hidden 3 is going to be the pick from them. As you mentioned, again, Nomad 4, the one map that they have also performed insanely nicely on, combined with this hidden, just a bit of a complication in the reading department. It is going to be just increasing their lead, increases their chances for the winning another point in this bout. Just a bit too much, I believe, for Finland to completely get a grasp on, but, you know, it is always a possibility, especially after the hidden one. They have at least something that they have all it takes to try at least to get some points on board, but to be realistic, they are going to be having to work quite a bit.
Yeah, there is a lot of work to be done here, and I think Finland, considering what we saw in both Noah 4 and Hidden 1, they might have their work cut out for them. However, again, it is not over until it's over. The map hasn't even started yet, but you would definitely say this is a little bit more favored towards the side of Saudi Arabia, being that team with the further hidden depth, the hidden roster depth, and also just being the slightly superior tech roster overall. So we will see how this does end up for both of these teams, but definitely a bit more of a Saudi Arabia favored map.
Well, let's see how it will, after all, be played in the actual tournament setting, but so far, we are just going to be waiting a little bit until the players are going to be getting ready enough to get in and actually perform. We are going to be seeing good luck, have fun in the chat. It means that the map is going to be starting quite soon, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, with a small exception that we might see some, unfortunately for now, wrong teams after I believe we are going to be switching some players around. And honestly, I'm quite excited to see who is going to be exactly playing. Kai Stadion actually making a return for Finland, and well, that is always nice to see from them.
Yeah, it is nice to see all these players in, and I'm honestly surprised to not see 3Badu in. But I guess it kind of makes sense, not being the most comfortable hidden player there is. So I guess I kind of expected to not see him in, but you would definitely want to see him in for a map like this if it was no mod. But it is on hidden, so no 3Badu to be seen, but still you have an extremely strong hidden roster, as we saw on that hidden one. Saudi Arabia proving to be very, very comfortable in the mud pool itself. However, early on we do see a couple of early breaks, one by Shard and one by Nemq. But it won't matter too much in the long run, as this map is 3 minutes long, and there is so much map to be played. This map only picks up in difficulty as time goes on.
Yeah, so far at the very least, the intro is not a trouble for anyone, pretty much, right? Some early misses can be pretty much discarded. The map is quite long, but they will have a lot of space to see some great recoveries, great performances again from the same players, but for now it will be at the very least giving a slight edge towards the Finland. Again, just a bit of points, right? A bit of 15, now 20k score lead, but for now it is only going to be increasing now, especially as we are going to be seeing a miss, a first big break coming in from Colby Red in the first quarter of this map, and as it seems for me, map is not going to be slowing down for quite a while, right? It is not going to be getting easier and easier. It is quite a bad situation for Saudi Arabia.
Yes, it is not looking too good here for Saudi Arabia, however, it is just one break that is needed for the lead to switch back around to the side of Saudi Arabia. Red is looking to be recovering very, very well. You have Shard pretty much still in the FC. It's a very early break, but I had to mention the name. Shard finds that break, and that means there are only 2 FCs standing for the side of Saudi Arabia, whereas there are effectively 4 still standing for Finland. The stadium does end up finding a break, so it is 3 FCs to only 2 on the side of Saudi Arabia. So Shard finding another break, but Red again, that recovery is looking very, very strong. So no, they might be down, but Saudi Arabia are not out by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, they're definitely still in the game, right? They're still running for another point, but they still have already a big disadvantage. 200k is still something to get through, some points that you have to be able to gain towards your team even after Finland will be finding those misses, and as we are going to be getting towards the last quarter, the last pretty much KI section, it's going to be harder and harder the longer Finland will be able to hold, but that is not going to be for long. Nemq in last steady and finding a break, but there is still 2 FCs holding down, gas pedal, just getting the score even further towards the team Finland, getting little by little towards 100k. Evert and Savilji finally breaking down the duo. Savilji going down, not raids coming in from Saudi Arabia. They are locked in, they want that point so bad, but for now it is just not enough because the performance from the other side is that majestic. The breakpoint is so close, but it is pretty much guaranteed now, I'm pretty sure, as Evert is going to be, I believe, the only one to FC this hidden 3.
That is the only FC, and that break by Osishala at the end really did cost him dearly. But I think even if he did FC, it would have just about not been enough. But Eva pulling through with an incredible FC on this hidden 3. What a play, and clinching the break point for the side of Finland. 4-3, and it's Finland's time to shine. Finland's time to try and claw back another break point and get onto match point, guarantee themselves tiebreaker, guarantee themselves that peace of mind. And what do they necessarily opt into here? There is still that number 2 open, which isn't necessarily very high BPM tapping. It is just focused on 200 BPM stamina, which is something Saudi Arabia does fare pretty well on. But will they want to pick into it regardless? That is the question. You want to find a balance of picking into your strengths, but also something that the opponent isn't too strong on. And for them, they think that the best pick for that is the Hard Rock 3, which does make sense considering what we did see in the Hard Rock 2. They are very different maps, though Hard Rock 3 being a lot more tech focused, whereas Hard Rock 2 was, I guess, just aim and flow aim. So, very different style of maps, but overall, Finland might have a little bit, the tiniest amount of an upper hand on the Hard Rock pool overall. So, I think a fairly solid pick overall for the side of Finland.
Yeah, it is definitely a little bit risky for Finland, right? Because, as you mentioned, that what that they have, right? And this, in theory, is a slimmer, right? There is not a lot of things to completely say that they are going to be able to perform much better on, right? Especially considering that again it is a bit of a derriere map, right? Obligatory one at this point, right, in the tournament. But after we have seen performances on the Nomad 4, Hidden 3, the tech department, right, it's a bit of a coin flippy one. Really depends on the actual style of the map that we're going to be seeing, and I believe Hard Rock 3 this time around is something in between of those two maps, right? Maybe even something completely different, a bit more slider aim heavy. But yeah, Hard Rock is only going to be complicating things even further, and the only big thing for Finland right now is that they were able to get that much needed breakpoint and are at the very least in a quite comfortable position, even if they are going to be losing this Hard Rock 3.
I mean, I think regardless whatever happens on this map, Finland are still in an okay position overall. They still have the match tied and they have another pick, so they can still have another chance of bringing themselves to tiebreaker. But they do definitely want to take this, and considering what happened on the Hidden 3, I think Finland might just have the upper hand overall in this, being stronger at Hard Rock and I guess more recently being more comfortable on a more techy flamey map. However, this is a lot more slider heavy, so we will see who does fare out better on this. It is a bit lower CS than your average Hard Rock 3, which might make it even more comfortable for these players. But it could also mess a couple players up on the reading, but we will see what will happen at the end of the day. And all the rosters are finalized, and we are getting off into the map.
Yeah, a bit of a longer one. Apologies, it's a short one. I completely misread that, but yeah, we will be seeing some of those interesting performances right all the best because, well, again, some of those sliders are going to be just draining that accuracy off from any of the players that are still getting through it, even getting some first initial breaks coming in from 3BDO, getting some, again, that combo advantage at least at the start towards that side of Finland, but they have to continue going, they have to continue to just hold on to that advantage because it is not a big one, it is hard to get through it. The map is just not something that you're going to be consistent on no matter who you are, with the exception of maybe #1 player in the world, but especially it is going to be Brune, as Turkis is going to be finding a break right before the KI section. It's going to be traded out after all by Equidimensional, but it is not going to be enough. The score lead is pretty much stagnating, maybe slightly going towards the side of Finland, but with a miss from Jujib, it is not going to be enough at all. It is pretty much now up for grabs for anyone.
Yeah, it is very much up in the air. We do still have those two FCs on the side of Finland though, but it is kind of being matched by the other recoveries in Saudi Arabia. As I say that, Equidimensional, Eva and Turkis find breaks, so there's only one FC standing for the side of Finland, and now Saudi Arabia all of a sudden have the combo advantage. And they have a chance to take this lead back. However, it's a full reset from the side of Saudi Arabia. And Finland cannot just run away with this despite Late Stadium breaking on their FC. Jujep is holding on to a 300 combo, which might just pull Finland through. But they need to hold on to this combo. And it's just reset after reset for the side of Saudi Arabia. 200,000 score in the lead for Finland, and they're looking poised to consolidate this breakpoint.
Yeah, and there is just general absence of nodes in the end, and there is not going to be a lot of possibility for Team Saudi Arabia to catch up, but maybe I am saying a bit too early as Jujib and Evert are going to be finding those much needed breaks on traded by Call Me Red, but still the score difference is not going to be moving at all, and Saudi Arabia will be just giving away another points toward Finland, and we are officially on a match point of this matchup between those two incredible countries, and well, that is definitely a great place to be if you are a Finland supporter.
Yep, Finland looking very good so far in this late stage of the match, being 5-3 up and still having a pick remaining. It is such a comfortable position to be in, and they even have the final pick before the tiebreaker. And I think that Finland's final pick will probably be that number 2. However, it is time for Saudi Arabia to have their final pick as well. And looking at the remaining pool, maybe we'll see a free mod 1 coming in, or potentially something like I think free mod 1 actually is their best option. Free mod 1 or no mod 5, I think, are the most likely remaining options for the side of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that is so hard to decide honestly, because again, Dream 1 is a bit of an I would at least consider it a bit of an easier pick that it's remaining in this pool, right? Something that we can see a lot of great performances generally from both the sides, right? So it is a bit risky, but considering that they were able and confident enough to go towards the Nomad one, it might be good enough for them, right, this time around. But still, we have a bit more coin flipping maps if they really want to go for it, right? DT4, for example, it is quite strange. It has a lot of sliders, right? But it is still something that has a bit of a warped type of fall, right? It has a bit strange timings that you have to get through, right? Not just at least slightly different if we are going to be comparing it to the different kind of songs that we are going to be seeing in this game, but I guess that is not going to be the choice for Team Saudi Arabia. Fremont 1 is on the table, and we are getting into just a pure consistency territory.
Yeah, it is consistency. You have a bit of flame in this. And it will be interesting to see the mod combination of this. I don't think we will be seeing any easies at all, considering just the style of the map. It would be, I think, way too hard on easy to justify going for it, since the most players add a flat 2x for every single Fremont map. So an SS is worth 1 million points on easy. So it's just as if you were playing no mod. But it seems that we should be getting to the map fairly soon. Just, I guess, a couple of questions whether 3W is in for this or not. But other than that, the rosters seem to be finalized, and I'd say that this is a bit of a coin flip. There isn't really a 100% clear favorite on this, but as I did mention, I think it's Saudi Arabia's probably best remaining pick.
At least we are going to be seeing the map for the 3 minutes and 18 seconds of drain time, right? So it would be at the very least enough space to kinda try to get some of those combos back again if they will be finding some of those early misses, but I'm quite interested to see if we are going to be seeing after all some eases from the side of Finland, right? Because last time around they were just prepared and ready to go with those, actually getting some great performances, but overall, oh my god, I'm so scared, especially as we are going to be getting finally into the maps. The mods are going to be revealed. So far, a lot of hard rocks that I have seen, at the very least 2 from both the sides, and yeah, it seems that we are not going to be seeing any incredible reading mobs this time around.
Yeah, no sort of reading mods, which makes perfect sense on this map. It is way too hard on easy to justify it, as I did mention a little bit earlier. However, we are getting into the map, and we're going to see a couple of breaks coming in from the side of Finland. We see Nemku, Savager, and Eva all finding breaks on the early stages of this map. However, it is about 3 minutes long, so these early breaks won't really play too much of a part in the grand scheme of things, but that is only down to if the fact that the map doesn't come down to maybe a 10 to 20,000 score difference, as we have already seen in this match. But you really want to make sure you at least hold your combo through the halfway mark on this map. And so far, all players are looking pretty good on this intersection, but soon we'll get into a KI where we might see a couple more breaks coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing to just mention that we are going to be seeing more hard rocks from the side of Saudi Arabia than from Finland. They have 2 HDs from the side, but for so far it seems like it is not working out that much greater for Saudi Arabia, as Call Me Red is going to be finding the first break on the hard rocks for his team. Falls closely behind by Shehard from the hidden department, but it is still going to be good, decent at least situation for them, because the leads they were able to pick up after unfortunate misses from the side of Finland is still going to be something to catch up on for them, especially as Nemku is going to be finding another mistake, unfortunately. But again, we are still holding through, we are only halfway through, and as the map is still in such an equilibrium, the score difference is not really moving towards any of the sides, at least not fast enough to make a difference, and that is why any misses from this point onward we are going to be extremely important.
And also Shallow finds such a key break, and Smoking though clearly very frustrated with that break, and that might cost Saudi Arabia very dearly here. As you see, Savager and Eva still holding on to some very high combos, not of FCs, but having those very early breaks. and Yemi is on an insane recovery as well, really allowing Finland to build such a strong combo lead and building up that point advantage, already sitting at almost 150,000 points. And oh, that break from Osishala just being so costly here.
Yeah, that is definitely trouble, but any any more troubles coming in from any of the sides will be cemented the trouble even further as Comiret is going down with another pretty much following from also Shalaf. The car has been crashed and they are thrown out of the window, while Finland is still an incredible combo still to their name. Incredible again recovery from Nephew and almost 3,000 combo place right now from Finland as they are going to be closing this map down in a style as the score is only going to be increasing further. The hope has been lost and the Finland will be picking up after all an incredible win against Saudi Arabia in this round of 16.
Yeah, Finland really showing they're not here to mess about, really pulling through strong on this later stage of the match. Being a little bit shaky early on, but really coming through at the end. And we see those combos closing out at the end. Not FCs, but extremely close on Saboju and Eva. GG, well played to the side of Finland. 3Badu also almost closing out the Hard Rock FC. Now that I just saw it, that's actually insane. Such a great score by 3Badu, but unfortunately not enough to bring out the point for Saudi Arabia. And yep, that is very unfortunate for them, but Finland proving to be the superior team in this matchup by very small margins, as you did see early on, somehow seeing one by about 10 to 20,000 points, but the score leads only ended up growing as the match went on, and Finland taking full advantage of that and sealing the match 6-3.
Yeah, some of those just like Bitcoin flipping maps, right? The contested one would have been such a great things to pick up for Saudi Arabia, but unfortunately that is not the day for them. But if I'm not mistaken, is this pretty much the elimination game? Is this the overbreaker game?
I believe so, yes. So that does mean that unfortunately Saudi Arabia has been eliminated from this iteration of the 4-digit World Cup in the round 16 losers bracket, so commiserations to them, but Finland just coming out on top, and they will be advancing to the losers bracket quarterfinals round 1 match. So that will be interesting to see how they do perform in that stage, but commiserations once again Saudi Arabia. But I think that is it for us for this match, unless you have any other closing words.
The only thing that I can say is, first of all, congratulations to the team winner and the teams that were generally playing this match. Incredible performances even from the losing team, especially if you remember some of those hard rock and hidden scores. But for now, it will be pretty much the done deal, and we have to mention, do you remember that we have sponsors? Please do, because they are incredible. Slider Pulse, Kagami Studios and Yobami are just such incredible people that are doing a lot of stuff for the community, for the OS, and are going to be providing some incredible stuff for you if you are to ask. Just support them and please come again, because from this point onward it is only going to be getting more interesting and more interesting.
Thank you everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and please stay tuned for the future matches in this stage and also in future stages. Thank you very much.